Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @Pless. And I do have several announcements today. First of all, Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Bookmap Discord. You do need a Bookmap subscription. Note, if you do not already subscribe to Bookmap, there is a free subscription available. Once you have subscribed to Bookmap, you will need to verify your account, and then you can fully participate in the Bookmap Discord chat as well as watching the live streams in Discord for a better streaming experience. Also, the Blue Jacket competition this month, the prize is a one-on-one session with me. And you can just go to bookmap.com, search for Bookmap Blue Jacket competition, and you can sign up. And again, the prize for this month is a one-on-one session with me. And finally, the Pro Trader webinar series begins today. And note, I believe it does start right at 2:30 as the first session begins today again at 2:30, I believe, just as my session ends. So that's going on all week. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of the price in many stocks and futures. Certainly the large cap tech stocks that I follow and trade, like the Magnificent Seven stocks, and also the equity index futures, like the SP 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the SP 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today, and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel, is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset and the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Jug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Hector, Stephen, welcome. Glad you're here. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, September 23rd. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items for the week. I'm going to go to the Spotgamma homepage. Take a look at the economic calendar for today, for the week. This is the events calendar. All right, so there was some PMI data out this morning. S&P PMI data, S&P Global PMI data at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Really, S&P Global PMI data does not seem to have much of an impact on the market. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. consumer confidence. And then on Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, new home sales. Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, jobless claims, durable goods orders, GDP. So starting to get into some more significant data on Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Jerome Powell will be speaking at 9:20 a.m. Shown right here. And then on Friday, the big data release for the week. PCE data out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then at 10 a.m., Michigan consumer sentiment to wrap up the week. So really Thursday and Friday are the key dates for data releases. And with Jerome Powell speaking, and also there are a number of other Fed speakers speaking throughout the week. All right, so that's the data for the week. Now let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index. That is SPX. This is a one-day chart, 1 year's worth of data, 1 year, 1 day chart in Thinkorswim for SPX. And I'm going to start with the most recent data. Here, this was a correction that began July 17th. Then the rally resumed on August 5th after the yen carry trade unwind over the weekend, rallied up into consolidation. Let's move on to a 1 hour chart. Pick that up again on a 1 hour chart. This is another Thinkorswim chart. Whoops, that's the wrong chart. Thinkorswim 1 day, 1 hour chart. Here's that consolidation after that move up from the 51.19 low. S&P 500 came down and tested the 5,400 put wall. That was the put wall at the time, 5,400, and actually was the SPY 540 put wall was just slightly above that. So both put walls were tested and held as support. And now the rally has resumed to new all-time highs. And that was after the delayed reaction to the FOMC last week. Began on Thursday. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from Friday. No doubt I do post those levels in Discord every day the evening before. So far today, SPX trading in a fairly narrow range within both of those ranges. All right, the dark red lines in this chart are showing Spotgamma levels. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers, available on a variety of trading platforms. Again, this is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall's at 5,300. That's the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. Note that level did move down from Friday. And on Friday, it moved down from Thursday. So the put wall has moved down in the last couple of days from 5,500 down to 5,300. And note, after the large options expiration on Friday, it typically takes several days for the levels to stabilize. So far, starting on Monday today, put wall has moved down to 5,300. Next level up is the volatility trigger at 56.45. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to add to their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading L, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And note the volatility trigger did move up from Friday. Next level up is 57.50. That is the call wall. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And that is also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That can so that's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. In a positive gamma environment, that level with the highest gamma-weighted open interest can often act as a pin, and that was certainly the case on Friday with the pin. Just SPX closed about 2.5 points above 5,700, which was the pinning level that I called on Friday in my webinar. So 57.50, that's the absolute gamma strike, call wall, and that is also the strike with the JP Morgan caller short call. That's where that's located, and that expires at the end of the month. All right, so those are the levels, the key levels. Again, usually it takes several days after expiration for the levels to stabilize. So just in summary, the volatility trigger absolute gamma strike moved higher, both in the range of being in play, and then the put wall moved down to 5,300, not in range, not in play. And for SPY, the volatility trigger shifted slightly lower. So I would say overall the shifts in levels for the SP 500, neutral or slightly bullish. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with back to the 1 minute chart, showing the gap up on Thursday. Most of the price action happened overnight. On Thursday, the reaction to the delayed reaction to the FOMC, and then price has been consolidating ever since then, up and down around 5,700. And again, that was right around the closing price, pinning it. Actually, that was, here's 5,700. SPX closed just above that level on Friday, and now in a very narrow consolidation today above that level, and also above the volatility trigger at 56.45 in a positive gamma environment. All right, let's go to Bookmap. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. There's that 5700 level. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. Somewhere today it is around somewhere between 57 and 58. Earlier today it was closer to 58. Now it may be a little bit closer to 57. Anyway, I'm using the ES to SPX offset at 58 points, so I'm showing SPX 5700 at ES 5758. Also have SPY levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 570 absolute gamma strike and also call wall, definitely doing its job today as a call wall, acting as resistance. 3 tests so far today of the SPY 570 call wall, all 3 times acted as a resistance. So that's the key level for the S&P 500 today, that SPY level. And note I do post the index relationships that I'm using every morning in Discord, so I can show them on my Bookmap chart at the correct levels. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ now. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to start with QQQ. Excuse me. All right, QQQ. On the downside, 482, just a round number level, around that level, acting as support. Then on the upside, this combo level, that's a combo 1 level, combining QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest, into one level, just below 484, acting as resistance. Again, 3 tests of that level. Just like SPY, acting as resistance. And let's take a look at NDX. And we'll see this cluster of levels on the Bookmap chart in just a moment. So that NDX level, combo 2 level, at 19,890, acting as resistance as well. All right, so just like ES, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show QQQ levels and NDX levels and also key levels for NQ on this chart. So this cluster of levels, that was the QQQ combo 1 level, as well as the 484 round number level, as well as the NDX combo 2 level, acting as resistance, and then the QQQ 482 acting as support. All right, shifts in levels for NASDAQ. For NDX, the volatility trigger shifted higher, and the call wall absolute gamma strike shifted lower. And for QQQ, the volatility trigger and call wall shifted higher. So for QQQ, the call wall is still well above at 490, so plenty of room to run based on the QQQ call wall for NASDAQ. All right, so those are the levels in play for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. Let's wrap up positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. I look at this every day. This gives me a sense of how market makers may be trading, reacting as price and volatility change. This is gamma notional again for market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. Note all these numbers are positive, In a positive gamma environment for an index, Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And these numbers did drop pretty substantially from Friday due to the expiration. There was a large amount of gamma expiring on Friday, still positive, but much less positive than Friday because of the options expiration. All right, so based on this positive gamma notional, look, I was looking for lower volatility for today. Sliterazi says Spotgamma has new tool called Trace. Yeah, I'm aware of that. My exposure, I just started using it today, so I am not fully familiar with it yet. We can take a look at it, but I don't have enough experience to fully use it yet. But it looks like it's going to be a great tool, very handy. All right, so based on this, my thesis for the day, first of all, looking for lower volatility, kind of continued consolidation after the large expiration on Friday. Directional bias, neutral to slightly bullish. All right, so now let's move on to execution. Move on from, and there's the trace tool, more about that in a minute. So move on from static data planning, positional analysis to real-time execution. And Maserati says it's their competitive offering to Bookmap. Not yet. First of all, Trace is only available for SPX. Bookmap is available for much wider variety of instruments. And it really shows different information. Bookmap is showing order flow, aggressive buyers and sellers, stop orders, iceberg orders, and Trace is focused on the options market, how traders are positioned in the options market. So I would say it's not a competitive offering, but a complementary offering that just provides more data, especially for intraday traders. All right, so let's move on to execution now. And as always, I'm going to start with the S&P 500 and take a look at what options traders are doing today. So this is the Hero tool. This is also available from Spotgamma. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. Again, I'm starting with the S&P 500. And this chart is the Hero chart, hedging impact real-time options. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. This is the index signal. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the Hero signal. Again, options trades and market maker hedging activity. A rising Hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling Hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And remember, market makers, options market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they buy or sell ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so that's one signal that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. The other is the equity signal. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity in real time for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. Again, white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the Hero signal. All right, let's take a look. Let's start with the index signal. We'll take a look at both. I'm going to go to full screen. Note the SP 500 ES, we'll take a look at ES in just a moment, was making a series of lower highs up until about 10:30. Consolidated, pulled back, then made one final move higher. Followed pretty closely by the index signal. Let's take a look at the equity signal. Typically, it is not the index signal is more noisy than the index signal, and sometimes the index signal provides more clarity, and sometimes the SB equity signal provides more clarity. And in the morning, I think the equity signal here definitely provided more clarity, showing traders were buying calls, selling puts up until about 10:50, 11 o'clock. Then made this peak and then price reversed lower. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. So overall, pretty choppy day in the SP 500 index. Let's go to Bookmap, zoom in on this. Here's the cash open. S&P 500 making a series of lower highs until finding resistance at the SPY 570 call wall. Again found resistance at that level, then found resistance again. So good for a long setup, deeper pullbacks in the morning, then consolidation between 570 and 569, and finally after the final test of 570, the S&P 500 finally broke lower down to this combo level. That's an SPX combo level. Let's take a look at the order flow in Bookmap. Green volume dots, or the volume dots in Bookmap, show market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots more sellers than buyers. You can see after this first push up to 570, buyers became exhausted. Aggressive sellers came in, price moved lower. Same thing here, buyers are exhausted. Some aggressive sellers start to come in, same thing here. Buyers are exhausted, aggressive sellers come in, and they were a little bit more aggressive here. And you can see the cumulative volume delta dropping lower. So the key here really was the three test of the 570 absolute gamma strike call wall. Looking at the subchart here, cumulative volume delta, that's the magenta to dark blue line as it changes from negative to positive and back again. The light blue line is showing iceberg orders, and this is showing net for the day. Traders, large traders, use iceberg orders to hide their size, and they have been net sellers for today. There's the cumulative, and that is since I opened Bookmap around 7 a.m. today. All right, let's go back to Hero now. I'm going to shift to puts and calls so I can take a look at puts and calls separately. Go back to the index signal. So I think the index signal can often give a kind of a more of a leading indicator than the equity signal. Not often, not always, but definitely did today. Note right around 1025, 1024, the blue line is showing puts. A falling blue line indicates traders started buying puts. They continue to buy calls. So this was your early warning. Traders started buying puts. And the S&P 500 started to make slightly lower highs and then broke lower. Then just after 1105, now the blue line and orange line began moving in the same direction, both up. That's a bullish signal. Price started to move higher. And then orange line and blue line started to move in sync again, this time down. The flow alert that came in just at noon, signaling your attention. This was a good mean reversion signal, indicating a potential reversal in the hedging flow, and that's exactly what happened today. A shift from bullish or positive to negative. And then note this final move higher. The put buyers took their foot off the gas. Price started to move higher, and then the call buyers started to come in. All right, so that's the equity signal. Overall, pretty choppy day today. Let's take a look at the equity signal. And the equity signal was bullish, both the blue line, both the call line, that's the orange line, rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls. So they were selling puts, buying calls. And again, the put sellers took their foot off the gas. And then the call buyers started to take their foot off the gas as well. One last push up into noon. Now traders in the equities have taken their options traders have pretty much taken their foot off the gas. All right, so choppy day. And I think really the index signal is giving better clues today, especially after 11 a.m. Orange line, blue line moving in the same direction. Up, then down. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Let me close full screen. So just like the S&P 500, there are two signals that we can take a look at for NASDAQ. This is the index signal, combining options trades and market maker hedging activity and NDX and QQQ. So also providing a pretty good signal today, coordinated flow between calls and puts. Moving up after about 11 a.m. Pretty choppy before then. But starting around 11 a.m. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction up. So up, down, then up again. All right, so that is the index signal for NASDAQ. And here's the other signal. This is similar to the equity signal. This is the MAG 7 signal, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 7 stocks in the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Bullish hedging flow, especially calls, up until about 11 o'clock. Now they've taken the foot off the gas. All right, let's go back. Let's take a look at the index signal. Go back to full screen. Take a look at NASDAQ. Go back to Bookmap. So again, this cluster of levels. Combo 1 level for QQQ, combo 2 level for NDX, and then the round number level 484 acting as resistance. NASDAQ trading in a wide up and down range, then moving lower after that final test of this cluster of levels up above. Again, aggressive sellers start to come in. Price moves lower. Note, just like the S&P 500, large traders are selling with iceberg orders they use to hide their size. So again, a pretty choppy range here in NASDAQ, basically trading between QQQ 482 and 484. So that's about an 80-point range in NASDAQ. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. Let's compare NASDAQ to Mag 7. Let me zoom in on Mag 7 just a little bit. So again, I'm getting more clarity from the index signal down. Now, currently traders are buying calls and selling puts in NDX and QQQ. All right, Hector says last week covered call from fund was informed by SG note. All kind of this operation available for retail are informed by SG, or extra information should be acquired for such purpose. Hector, sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question. I did point out last week there is a NASDAQ covered call fund that was rolling out of a strike in NDX, rolling out of the 19,450. Initially, it looked like they rolled into 20,000. Now, and that was the call wall absolute gamma strike, and now the call wall absolute gamma strike is at 19,720. So that's really once a month operation. Otherwise, I would never look at NDX independently. So other than that, Hector, I'm sorry, I really don't understand your question. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some stocks. I'm going to start with Apple today. And as always, I'll be glad to take a look at any stocks you want me to take a look at. All right, so this is Apple. Much more clarity in the hero signal for me for today in Apple. Call buyers definitely driving price. That's shown by the orange line. And traders started aggressively buying calls right around 10:10. Apple makes a higher low. Note, put sellers had already come in just a few minutes before that. Call buyers come in, price moves higher, and then abruptly, call buyers take the foot off the gas. Now they are selling calls slightly, also buying puts, and now price is moving back lower. Also note the flow alert that came in. I have a couple of flow alerts that came in right before the call line reversed and then after, confirming that move higher. and that was right at 10.10. So let's go take a look at Apple. All right, so in Apple, there's that higher low right at 10.10. Remember, traders had started already selling puts, started buying calls. Price moved up pretty quickly. And then remember, the call buyers aggressively took the foot off the gas. Price moved lower. All right, I think a lot more clarity in Apple and the hero signal, as well as the price action today compared to the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. In the subchart here, I have two lines. This is cumulative volume delta. I do show that for futures and stocks. And this is the market pulse price change indicator. And I like to use this as a confirmation for deeper pullbacks. In this case, I'm looking for these price extremes for deeper pullbacks for a long entry. And these extremes, the bright red, line up with this pullback here. All right, so that's Apple. Next is AMD. Pretty narrow range in AMD today. This kind of looks like the indexes. Let's see what options traders are doing. And I noted this morning that the total signal provided more clarity for AMD. Let's take a look at that. So as AMD was grinding up, traders were taking negative delta positions, took their foot off the gas. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit. Note the hero signal started to make lower highs while AMD made higher highs, giving a nice lead for a short there right at 10:30. So in this case, hero looking at the total signal, acting as a leading indicator for this move lower. AMD dropped until the options traders took their foot off the gas. Now moving higher and consolidating right now. So hero acting as a leading indicator for this move lower, starting around 10:30. Let's go to Bookmap. So there's the reversal lower right at 157 as traders started taking negative delta options positions. AMD finding support at the 155 level. This is the heat map of Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders in the order book. It looks, and below price, those are limit buy orders. And it looks like price did find support at that 155 level, and those orders were consumed. So those limit buy orders consumed at 155. Price move higher, now consolidating. All right, next stock, Meta. Let's see what options traders are doing in Meta. And I'm going to shift to puts and calls first. Let's go to Meta. A couple of patterns here for hero worth taking a note of. First of all, these repeated flow alerts. This is a good chop signal, signaling chop. And then the last one can proceed a move higher or lower. In this case, higher. Traders started buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. Traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge the delta exposure. And they were also selling puts. All right, so that's the first pattern, that consolidation chop pattern with the multiple flow alerts. And then this has been a great bearish signal, reversal signal in the last few weeks. This call peak call buyers abruptly shift from call buyers to call sellers, price reverses lower. Very nice short setup with this call peak pattern, something to definitely watch for in Hero. And after that call peak, just after 10 a.m., 10:05, now traders have continued to sell calls and buy puts shown by the blue line again, until finally about 1 o'clock they took the foot off the gas. So a couple of key patterns there in Hero. Again, the chop consolidation pattern, and then the sharp move higher as traders are buying calls, and then the reversal lower. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. There's that initial move higher as traders started. Meta broke out of that initial range, opening range, moved sharply higher, and then the call peak. Aggressive sellers start to come in. Price moves lower until finally about 1 o'clock. Aggressive buyers now attempting to move Meta higher as the traders that were taking negative delta options positions have taken the foot off the gas. All right, so that's Meta. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Pretty choppy day in NVIDIA as well. I thought as far as stocks go, Meta was the best. Meta and Tesla, that we'll see in just a minute, the best two setups in the stocks, the Mag 7 stocks that I follow. So let's go take a look at NVIDIA, then we'll get to Tesla. Go back to Hero. Go to NVIDIA. Shift to the total signal to see if we can get more clarity. So I think the signal was the most clear. Sorry about that. Auto zoom when you shift from puts and calls to total and back and forth. So Hero helped to signal this move lower, not nearly as clear as Meta and Apple. Flow alert comes in, and then a few minutes later the Hero signal shifts higher. And this was the most clear signal, this right around 10:45, slight move higher. As NVIDIA finds support at the 115 level. Let's move on to Tesla. Much better setup today. change this. I'm going to tone down the volume dots just a little bit. You can see all the aggressive buyers right from the open, shown by all the green volume dots. As price makes its way up to the 250 level, then finding a resistance at that level. Heat map is showing limit sell orders at that level. Let's go to Tesla. In Tesla, key level, that is the call wall key gamma strike. And price found resistance exactly at that level, at the 250 call wall key gamma strike. So that was the target for a long in the morning. The shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump back. All right, so mainly call buyers driving price higher in the morning. Full alert comes in just after the cash open, signaling significant options activity, getting your attention. So traders were aggressively buying calls, started taking the foot off the gas as Tesla was approaching the 250 call wall key gamma strike right there, and a final push up to that level, and then finally again abruptly taking the foot off the gas as Tesla hit that 250 level. Traders were also selling puts, shown by the rising blue line, and the put sellers took the foot off the gas right around 10:45 to 11 a.m. Let's go back, take a look at order flow in Bookmap. All right, so again, 250 call wall key gamma strike, acting as a target for the move higher in the morning. Then price found resistance at that level. Looks like traders may be trying to take Tesla back up to the 250 level. We'll go back and check the order flow in just a minute. Let's zoom in on this. So again, market pulse price change indicator, helping to confirm the deeper pullbacks for long. Price trading above VWAP. There's the first deep pullback, and that was almost to VWAP. Second, third, fourth, all right, call buyers definitely driving price higher, as well as aggressive buyers. Again, you can see all the green volume dots up to the 250 level. Key price target, also acting as resistance. Let's zoom in on this, see what options traders are doing right now. It looks like they're trying to take Tesla back up to the 250 level. Zoom in on this a bit. I'm going to go back to the total signal. Sorry, I'm going to jump back, zoom in. All right, so the hero signal starting to move higher. Tesla responds, maybe heading back up to the 250 level. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's check on the indexes. Any questions? Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, so it looks like the ES found support at the SPX 5703 combo 3 level, and that is also right at the SPY 568 level. Now maybe trying to move back up to the SPY 570 level, call wall. Check NASDAQ. All right, so NASDAQ still trading at a range between 482, 484, right in the middle of that range. Note VWAP. So NASDAQ trading right around VWAP. Also point of control, that's this purple line right here. And you can see on the session volume profile, that's where most of the volume is concentrated for this session. All right, let's go back to Hero. I'm going to go back to Tesla so we can keep an eye on that for a few minutes. Go back to Hero now. All right, Hector wants to take a look at TFC. All right, so TFC, Truist Financial Corporation, trading at a pretty narrow range today. Very, very small delta notional value. That's less than 1 million, 358K negative. So probably not a lot of options influence on that stock. Let's compare that with Tesla, for example. Almost 508 million. So orders of magnitude more options volume and delta notional in Tesla compared with TFC. So this is stocks that have very high options volume. That's what I prefer to trade. So at least for a Hector, at least for a day trade, I would focus on these Magnificent Seven stocks and other stocks with higher option volume. Most of the stocks in this list right here have very high options volume and strong options influence on their price action during the day. All right, does anyone else have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, Tesla still grinding its way higher to the 250 level again. NASDAQ right in the middle of its range for the day. BMX 786 wants to look at GameStop. Yeah, we can take a look at that. All right, GameStop trading higher today. Looks like traders are buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. Sorry about that. We'll go back to GameStop. So it looks like call buyers have taken the foot off the gas right around 12:15. GameStop not moving higher. Trading above the 22 key gamma strike. BMX says, I know 7 Magnificent only. That's what I trade, but like I say, every day I will be glad to, every webinar, I'll be glad to take a look at stocks you want me to take a look at. Again, I prefer to look at stocks that have more of an options influence than something like TFC. TFC may be a good long-term investment, but not necessarily a day trading stock. M. Zoltan wants to take a look at Boeing. Sure. I'm going to shift to the total signal and just stick with that. Go to Boeing. Interesting. In Boeing, looks like some pretty significant shift in the options flow just after 2 p.m. was maybe there was some news on Boeing. So pretty flat up until about 2 p.m. Hero signal shifts higher. Full alert gets your attention. It looks like Boeing has moved up a couple of points above the hedge wall key gamma strike. And sorry, Balaz Zindi, sorry about mispronouncing your name, wants to take a look at Palantir. Sure. So traders taking positive delta positions. And Palantir moving higher. Up to just above 38. And decent delta notional for Palantir. All right, last call for questions, comments. All right, everyone, I need to wrap it up. Remember the Pro Trader webinar series starting today. Blue Jacket competition prize is a one-on-one with me for this month. And then really not much significant data until Thursday and Friday this week. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon. And I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye.